How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the UKnowAdamTsang podcast, where you get to know a little bit more about people, passions, and all things business. You know what I'm saying? So today I'm sitting across the table from Mr. Hunter Cornett of Burwood in Statesboro, Georgia. Hunter, welcome to the show.
How's it going? It's a pleasure for you to have me.
Well, Hunter, I've probably met you, I want to say maybe a year, 2 years now. Has that been
about right? For sure.
And during that time, I have seen you develop and grow into the entrepreneur that you are today. And I know that you don't get that a lot from me, but extremely proud of what you've been able to do. And I see a lot of great things in your future. But for those that don't know, tell us a little bit about Burwood.
So Burwood started in the summer of 2020. Is when COVID kind of hit, and I was coming into going to be my fifth year here at college. That's actually what brought me to Statesboro was Georgia Southern. I was going to be a finance major. I actually started off as an economics major, but then I was just like, this is not going to work out. So then now we fast forward to here. I mean, it's been a lot. I mean, I was thinking about it on the car ride here. I was like, we made everything from keychains to American flags to tables to bars to, hats. I mean, we've tried everything. So like I could write a whole book on honestly like what Burwood, is or was or, is going to be.
Yeah.
But I think today, Burwood is a wholesale craft business. We are a supplier of blank wood. So it sounds crazy, but it's awesome to be able to manufacture something in America, especially right here in Statesboro.
That's amazing. So, for those that, are kind of trying to figure out what specifically you guys do, wholesale blanks. So the wholesale that you're talking about and the blanks that you're talking about, what do those look like? Is it just round and square pieces of what type of wood that you use? Like, describe that for me.
Yeah, I mean, we get that a lot because honestly, whenever I do explain it, it's like we make circles, we make blank wood just because, it is hard to explain because in reality, it is just a blank canvas. Mm-hmm. Our best-selling shape is going to be the circle.
Okay.
In the crafting world, they call this a round.
Yeah.
So they turn these into seasonal door hangers, custom signs, wedding signs, clocks. It's amazing what people have done with these. We sell them in sizes all the way from 5-inch all the way up to 18-inch.
And so let's kind of like dive into some, rough numbers right now. Like when you say you sell circles, like how many circles have you sold? Or how many items have you sold?
Okay. So I'd say like our average circle sells for around $5. And, that's just a mixture of a lot of our 15-inch to 18-inch is our main selling, but we also sell, the 5-inch and 12-inch. So I'd say in total, we have sold over 50,000 circles.
Wow. 50,000 circles. And you're doing all of this in Statesboro, Georgia. How are you getting these circles to the people that want them?
So that's been a little bit of a challenge too. Like with a small business, you really think like the hardest part is going to be selling it. But in reality, it was the fulfillment side, like especially we had such a boost going early on to where it was hard to fulfill because like that's the last thing you want is to go viral early.
Sure.
And honestly, I think we haven't truly gone viral yet.
Uh-huh.
I think we're on the right pace and we've had great videos that have hit and honestly, I'm blessed that our TikTok account is doing well. Mm-hmm. But I think there's a lot more to, just what I've put out in content. I want to hire some more people, get things really, going. So that way when someone asks me, what is Burwood, I explain it more than we do circles.
So, we're going to definitely touch on TikTok. Let's kind of like talk about like the beginning stages of, when Burwood first started. You mentioned that, you were kind of like exploring many different options. How did you find yourself at Big? What was that journey like?
So, all right. So we started off in the summer of 2020. I used to be a bouncer at one of the local bars, and we get Southern Social.
Nice.
And so it was really cool working there because like I started off there like when they opened basically. Gotcha. So it was cool to see them grow as well. And even since I haven't worked there, like they've grown, even more, which is even cooler to see. It's like, you don't have to be a part of everything for it to grow, and as long as there's the right people in place is like, all it takes is the time and the consistency, honestly. But, starting off with Burwood, I learned a lot of making money with wood from my dad.
Yeah. Is he in the wood business?
He is. He's like an installer, a contractor. So he'll do kitchen remodels, bathrooms, all all interior stuff really, cabinetry mostly.
Yeah.
And he makes good money doing it.
Sure.
And the reason being is because like he's out there doing it, and like that's the thing with wood. It's just like not many people are willing to get dusty and go like lift all the heavy material and trying to figure out if you can even get material. But if you figure it out, there's so much money to be made in wood.
Sure.
It's a huge market. And that's the beauty of it, was like I didn't have to invent wood to create Burwood.
Sure.
So at the start of it, I knew that I wanted the medium of the business to be wood.
Okay.
I wasn't sure what that was going to be, but I knew that I wanted to create a brand.
Sure.
So through the trials and tribulations on the beginning, that's where Burwood really started to like figure out its brand, and knowing that like, we have so many avenues that we could potentially take on later on, which is so amazing, and like put, the Burwood stamp on there.
Sure.
But it was really cool to find one product that we could grow vertically with. So starting off, the first product we ever made was a farmhouse table that I sold on Facebook Marketplace. I sold it before I even made it, because that's how you kind of do those farmhouse tables, just because people want custom sizes, different stains, paints. So you don't want to like make it and then try to sell it, because you'll have a smaller, smaller group of customers,
sure,
to sell to. So we sold one. Well, I guess like I sold one. And I was
How'd
like,
that
okay.
feel?
It was worrisome. I was like, dude, well, we're going to have to go to Lowe's. I'm going to figure this out. And it's not like...
So you sold it before you actually made it? Okay.
I only had like, a few $100 in my account, man. I was working at, being a bouncer, only making like $60 a night.
Sure.
And it really just get me through like on the weeks and stuff. And it was tough to even get the material to build that first table.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know how to build a table. So... take it about 4 weeks after, and a bunch of hours, and me figuring out that I need to hire like my friends too, because like this table's so big that I can't just like make this by myself.
Yeah.
And it was super hot in Statesboro. You know how it gets. Dude, it's so hot, especially we're about to go into it in the summer. But
did you make money on that first table?
I did not. I did not. No, it was bad.
Underquoted?
Man. Yeah. And like,
how much money did you lose on it, if you don't mind me asking, you think, roughly?
So I sold the table for $500, and I think all in, I came out to be like $730, $750 in. So like we lost about $250.
What made you kind of like say like, all right, well, that wasn't really that fun, but I'm gonna keep doing this? Like, what was it about it that that's happened to me before too, right? Like that's just part of business, to be honest.
That's kind of my parents, like they've been like, huge support in the business.
Yeah.
Capital, emotions, everything,
Sure.
So at the beginning, like I only had a few $100 in my account. So like when I went to Lowe's, I was like, yo, Mom, can I use this emergency credit card? Like I'm just gonna build this table. I got the list of things. We're gonna make money, I promise.
Sure.
And that's what I always tell her. I promise. And she trusts me. She does. And like it's really shown like through the business.
Sure.
And I'll never, I love the story. Like Jeff Bezos, his parents, lended him $250,000. And now Amazon makes $250,000 every 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
But also, nowadays having $250,000 cash is hard to come by.
Sure.
You got gas prices and all that. But no, my parents have been a huge support. And then basically since that first one, they're basically hard on me. You know, they're not hard on me, but it was kind of like, you know, they're like my parents, but also my coaches.
Yeah.
You know, like I love sports. So it's just like, hey, you know what? You lost that game. What's next?
Yeah.
You know, are you going to build another table? I was like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
But I look to the right and I see this 4 foot by 8 foot CNC machine. I'm like, you know what? Like I couldn't make any money by making that table because of all the hours that we put into it.
Sure.
But maybe if I like learn this like modern day technology.
Sure.
And it's been around for a while too, but now it's actually affordable. And, you know, like they don't just custom make them anymore. They make them like, you know, that you can actually learn them.
That's
it's
right.
not just a few people know how to run that one machine. It's, you can see YouTube videos and learn so much. And honestly, the possibilities on those machines are endless.
Yeah.
But the simplicity of it is amazing. It's like math. At the end of the day, like it all adds up. You know, like it only runs off 3 axes.
So when you saw like the CNC initially, like what was the potential that you saw in the machine? Was it like, oh, circles is the move? Or were you kind of like, hey, let me kind of like work with signage, or what did you do at that point?
It was actually another Facebook Marketplace purchase because I knew that I was like, I'm gonna go like in the custom route, and so I started looking at like those like a scroll saw, and so it's just like you can move around the wood, and I was like, that's gonna be it. So I called my mom and I was like, hey,
I need this.
We're gonna get a scroll saw, and then I promised like we're gonna make the money back off this scroll saw in no time.
And she said yes?
Yeah. And then through buying that scroll saw, when I went to go pick up the scroll saw, I met a local in town named Caleb. And he's like involved with big, you know, here and there too. Like, but he was the one that was actually selling it to me. And it just so happened, I was like, I looked over to the left. You know, here I was looking over to the right, but at his place I was looking over to the left. And he has a CNC in his garage. And I was like, what is that? What is that thing? Because that was the first time I've actually ever seen a CNC.
Okay.
But I was going there to buy this little scroll saw.
Yeah.
And he was like, that is what replaced that.
Yeah.
And I was like,
oh, dang. Did you buy it?
I did. Yeah,
oh, you did. You still bought it?
Yeah, and I still have it. And I made like one piece with it. And he told me, it was actually funny. Caleb told me, because we were actually going to do a little business together.
Yeah.
Because we started making like these 12-inch by 24-inch pine wood signs. And like American flags, custom, whatever you want. But he was going to charge me like X amount per sign.
Yeah.
And I was totally okay with that because I was like, I don't really know how to use these CNCs. And I could sell these things.
Sure.
So that could be my part.
Sure.
I could sell these things.
Sure.
And then I know my margins too because he's only charging me X amount per sign.
Got you.
Like never any variation. It was just like, boom.
From the CNC. From his CNC.
Yep.
So that had, after you bought the saw, there was some, like, obviously some sort of conversation that was had that was like, all right, let's kind of like partner together. Like,
it was cool.
Okay.
And, honestly, it's like I see him around. Like that's what I love about States Bros. I see him around. Like I saw him at Burrow Snow.
Sure.
You know, like the
ice cream, shaved snow place.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and it was just so cool
ice.
catching back up with him and all that stuff. And basically, he told me when he was in the garage, he was like, yeah, you know, like at the FAB Lab, they have like a 4 foot by 8 foot.
That's when he told you.
Yeah,
that.
he told me that, and he's like, I really shouldn't have told you that. And then, you know, $250,000 later.
So you, at that point, you actually didn't know about the FAB Lab still.
No, yeah. So that like that was literally my first time ever even
hearing about that.
Yeah.
And so what'd you do after that point?
Well, all right. So just to correct that, I mean, I have heard about the FAB Lab. Because like during class, like I mean, it was like
professors will say something.
Like it was my freshman year.
Yeah.
I remember Miss Suzanne.
Yeah.
She came in and like I went up to her and I was like, that's a really cool thing, and I always meant to go, right?
Yeah.
And like that's the thing, right? It's like everyone's like, oh, like I want to start a business, so like I want to go do that, but it's like literally all you gotta do is just go.
Yeah.
And like get it, you know, that domino effect. Start, you know, you'll be amazed what you can knock down, you know, after just doing all the little things. But so I knew about it, but I didn't know what it was, what it looked like, all the machines, you know, that are here. Even, I mean, 3D printing. I mean, there's like there's so many 3D printers here.
Yeah.
And that's a really cool aspect. You know, there's only one CNC, but
That's right.
there's also a laser and literally, I mean, a built out maker space.
Sure.
For the cost of a LA Fitness membership.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, it's amazing. It's like a gym membership for entrepreneurs.
Sure.
Like what a program it is, you know. I mean, like it's something like I would love to like build out one day.
Sure.
You know, just to recreate the opportunity that I had here.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I was really lucky.
Yeah.
I mean, I could have dropped out of school and just went home.
Yeah. And
was
so
worth it.
you found yourself here, you know, Caleb mentioned it, you kind of like made the step to come visit, and then you start working here, and then what happens next?
This is when things are starting to get like, okay, like we might actually have like a profitable business.
Were you selling a bunch of stuff right now, like during that time? What were you selling?
No, so I was starting to work on the CNC. I was trying to figure out this machine. And so I was asking like all my friends, all my family, I was like, hey, let me make you guys some signs.
Yeah.
I don't really know what to make, and I'm not just going to make some random stuff. Like I'd rather like try to work on this like custom ability of like, hey, if you want a sign, let me figure out the process of how am I going to take that order, but also know exactly what font that you're going to want for the sign.
Sure.
Or know that, you know, your exact dimensions, and just really wanting to make sure you get the sign that you really want.
Sure.
So the problem that I always got was everyone was always like, just do what you think will look good.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, like if you give me a sketchbook, you know, like I love drawing or things like that, but I'm not an artist.
Sure.
You know, like that's not my number one thing, I would say.
Sure.
You know, or like graphic design. That was a big thing that I had to learn during this whole thing was using Adobe Illustrator, Procreate, all of those. And then even going into the CNC, we have, you know, VCarve Pro, Mach 3. And at first it looked like so daunting, but at the end of the day, it's like all you got to do is press like a few buttons.
Sure.
And it's just like using any other program. You know, just learn it.
I think you bring up something that's really interesting, especially for just the general public. I think the general public wants choice, but they don't want to be overwhelmed with choice. They don't want to have like so many different items that they can choose from where it becomes overwhelming. And especially for something like customization, if you give them like complete reign, they're not going to know what they want, right?
Literally, yeah.
Right? And that's what I hear is like that is the experience that was given is like, oh, well, I don't really know.
Yeah, it's like when you give them that like actual blank canvas, right? And it was just like, well, what do you want me to put on this blank canvas? And they're like,
make something nice.
Yeah, it's like, well, I like the Red Sox, but I'm also from Texas, and you know, it's like, but I want to get this for my aunt that lives in New Hampshire.
Sure.
And it's like, all right, so we're shipping this thing.
Yeah.
You know, like, all right, we're gonna do the state. We can make it work, you know, and like that was kind of the fun part, right? And that's where when I started really developing these signs, I brought some home.
Yeah.
And home is down in South Florida now.
Okay.
When I first came to Georgia Southern, home was Johns Creek, Georgia.
Okay.
But my parents moved back down to South Florida, and that's where I was born as well. But when I brought them back, they're like, yeah, this is like really cool.
Yeah.
You know, and at first when you show people a carved sign, they think like, oh, you did it by hand or something. So they're like, immediately they're like, you are so talented.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I mean, we did make that.
The design.
We did make that, you know,
Yeah.
but like with using machines nowadays,
Sure.
like that's the beauty of it,
Sure.
you know, like it's like, don't make yourself feel bad for drawing on a pen and paper when you have the ability to draw and Procreate
Sure.
and make something that you would have never been able to do,
Sure.
you know, without using
Sure.
new technology, but
Sure.
also like, I mean, there's still a lot of simplicity to using technology that I think people like overdo.
So at this point, how many signs are you selling?
Not many.
Yeah.
You know, like really the goal was, I mean, I remember like when we did our like first $1,000 week, I was like, wait, I sold $1,000
on what? What were you on?
It was like,
what platform?
Oh no, just like local sales.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like it was basically like about like 5 orders, you know, 6 orders like in a queue, and it was just like, okay, like
there's something here.
That was the first time we ever did $1,000 in a week, but then it took 3 weeks to,
to execute.
Yeah. Then you make sure that, you did it right because again, it was our first time on this thing.
When you sold $1,000 in that week, did you make money?
Yeah. I mean, I get so at that time, no, just because the FAB Lab does offer a lot of tools and, machines and that kind of thing. But we were getting so into it to where we came in, I didn't even have a tool belt.
Sure.
I didn't have a hammer.
Sure.
I didn't have all the simple things. So even if we needed a screwdriver,
you would have to go run and get it.
Yeah, we went ahead and just made that investment, made the investment, bought a paint sprayer.
Yeah.
And do we use a paint sprayer now? No. But it was the investment at the time,
sure.
That got us to where we are now.
Sure.
But speaking of the paint sprayer, that's really where my brother Paul comes in. Because when I brought that first sign back, he was like, dude, this is cool.
Yeah.
So he saw the sign, and I came back up to Statesboro.
Uh-huh.
And I remember I got a call from him, and he was like, yo, are you serious about this business? I was like, it's the only thing I got right now, man.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I don't really see myself going back to school. Don't tell mom, but but this whole COVID thing, it was just what's the point? If I want to be behind a computer screen, I want to be seeing my business, something that's growing and not
sure.
just taking classes behind the computer. Because for me, it was the hands-on.
Yeah.
I've learned so much, over the past year and a half that I'm not going to knock on, Georgia Southern because I'm still going to get my degree from them eventually. Sure. But I wish that everyone kind of went through the program that I just went through.
Yeah.
And it's a self-paced program.
Yeah.
It's a self-motivation. There ain't no classes to sign up for. It's, you sign up for, this is all I got.
Yeah.
So with Paul, he called me and he's like, dude, I quit my job. I'm just going to drive up tonight. I was like, tonight? I was like, we're going to do this.
Did he talk to you about him quitting his job?
A little bit, we just knew that, because living in South Florida, I mean, it's expensive.
Sure.
And his lease was coming up, too.
Yeah. So,
he was paying, for a one-bedroom, $1,600, $1,700 a month.
Yeah.
So he's driving up. And it's a long trip. I mean, we live in South Florida, Boca Raton.
Uh-huh.
So it's about 7.5 hours. And so he just drove up here. He wasn't even sure if his car was really going to make it too. He's like, you know what, we're going to get there. And then if we ever need to go back, at the time I was driving a Honda Accord.
Yeah.
So we could use that as a transportation car.
Yeah.
But once he got here, we went to the shop that next day.
Yeah.
He was going to be the builder. And so that way, if we needed build tables, I'm not a builder, but I could sell them, and I could sell them, I could market them, we'll get it done. And so that's where we knew that we had the team of aspect of we can run this thing.
Sure.
I wish we had a bunch of more time to tell all the story, but I'll kind of just speed through it. But basically we got the opportunity to go into the Statesboro Mall. Mm-hmm. It was, we applied for it probably, a month or two prior to that. One of my buddies, Sean Bean, shout out, he took this picture at the Statesboro Mall, which a lot of people, don't frequently go to just because
small.
Yeah, it's a small. There's about 5 stores there, and it's just there's not any big stores there. But I was telling them, I was like, we could be that corner store one day, you know, and they basically gave us an opportunity to have a pop-up shop for 6 weeks.
Awesome.
It was 5,000 square feet. It was amazing. You didn't have to pay for anything except for setting it all up and figuring it all out within, we had 4 weeks to do it.
Yeah.
And thankfully my brother was already there, and so we've never built out a store, so we didn't know what to do. And so through all that, we were doing custom signs. We started doing really cool hats.
Yep.
And that's where, Paul was huge on, all the leather work. We started bringing out the air sprayer and stuff, doing custom, and I was just like, dude, this is turning into some cool stuff. We might just start a hat business.
Sure.
And that's how willing I was to pivot the whole business.
Sure.
Which way do we need to go?
Yeah.
At the beginning, there's no real reason to just stand in your ground unless you rent it out. Like you have a lease for a restaurant.
Sure.
And it's like, we're not moving. Like this is where we're going to sell Philly cheesesteaks.
Sure.
And that's a different business model. But like as a small business, I mean, my best advice is to stay pivot whenever necessary. So when we were selling custom signs in the mall, we had a short period of time. And the problem was like we just couldn't people already bought their gifts. Also, reminder, this is during COVID,
Sure.
so we're wearing masks and there's even less traffic in the mall.
Sure.
So ultimately, by the time we moved out of there, it was a failure. We lost about $20,000.
Wow.
And it was like a tough new year.
Yeah.
That was tough because like we had to figure out like what's the plan.
Sure.
I mean, we just went through a season like that's the busy season, and we're down 20,000.
Looking back on it now, what do you think that you would have done differently if you like? I mean, obviously, like you might have spread yourself maybe a little bit thin in terms of like different items, but if you could look back on it and do something different during that time, what would it have been?
I would say like we wouldn't have we wouldn't have done the pop-up shop.
No.
But also, I wouldn't have learned as much.
Sure.
If we wouldn't have.
Sure.
I mean, like if I just would have been selling on Etsy, it's like maybe I'd be a pro on Etsy, but like am I a pro like in the real world? Have I proved, that this store could maybe be a brick and mortar? The crazy thing was that like we had you remember there was one table of blank wood.
Yeah.
We used 1 4-foot by 8-foot table and this 5,000 square feet to sell our best selling product.
Yeah.
Which, our best selling product of now today.
Yeah. So at that point, had Burwood already kind of like been focused on blanks? Was blanks already moving for you guys?
It was moving. We really weren't sure. Like, I mean, I definitely didn't think we'd, have a market of 50,000 circles to be sold over 1 year. I thought maybe like there was a need for a few thousand circles. I mean, like I was like, I mean, how many doors are there? And then when you pass by all the doors, like they're all blank too. And so now it even realizes me even more. It's like this market is so much bigger than I've ever thought.
Yeah.
And that's just with the circle.
But the question was mainly like at the mall. What was your best selling product at the mall?
Per item would have had to have been our hats. Money wise, well, actually, so profit wise, hats.
The hats?
Yeah, I mean, as a business model, and that's honestly why I was like,
maybe pivot.
Maybe,
into
hats. Because like the only problem with the hats was we just didn't have the right equipment to make it a quicker process.
Sure.
So that was the only constraint. Other than that,
it was just moving. The
margins on it, our designs, people loved them, and we were like, we got a hat company, you know, and we even like branded it as Southern Snapbacks.
Yeah.
And it was just like, who would have, that's just how it goes, I mean, slime.
So crazy, isn't it? Like, you go in with these customized sides, which is, up until this point is what you've been doing. Mm-hmm. And then like the best selling item that's there is actually like hats. Like who would have?
Right. Yeah. Especially like in a 5,000 square foot thing. It was like we had one, I mean, it was a big wall, but I guess the cool part was we didn't have any hats that were the same.
Yeah.
So like.
Very unique.
Yeah, I mean, I bought a bunch of like trucker mesh style hats, and then we lasered out, these like leather patches. We did some custom hats too. Those sold pretty well, and we honestly probably could have sold them for a little bit more just because of the service that we were offering.
Sure.
We were talking like a 24-hour, 48-hour turnaround time because people were expecting, this Christmas gift.
Well, I remember like going to the store and like taking a look, and the thing that I noticed was it was a very like easy buy because like you're looking at like this wall and then like browsing through it, and that like one of the hats is going to speak to you like depending on what you like, right? Yeah. And then it's like, oh, that's my hat, and then you take it. You put it in the bag, and then that's the same thing that's going to happen with like other people that are buying gifts for others. Whereas like the wood, like I remember you had like these huge flags, which are awesome.
Yeah.
But like
that's crazy.
How am I going to get it home? Like
no, yeah. I mean, like literally, we made 3 4-foot by 8-foot flags, and did not sell a single one.
Yeah.
when I tell you the amount of compliments we got on those things,
Yeah.
it's like driving like a lifted truck or a lifted Jeep.
Yeah.
That's all souped up. You spend 100,000 plus on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool, but like everyone's gonna give you the compliments, but nobody's gonna buy that thing from you.
Yeah.
Just because it's like, dude, I don't need all that.
Yeah.
You know, and so that was kind of the thing with the 4 foot by 8 foot like flag. Like you'd see all these husbands, they'd be like, come on now, like, you know, telling their wife like we got space for that, like come on, it's, you know. And I even told them like we had it marked at 500.
Sure.
But which is honestly a great price. I think if we were in Atlanta and we just had that flag out for a day, it would sell for 500.
But the thing about it is where you're going to put it. I mean, it has to fit in the home, like, you know.
It's, I guess like a garage piece or like, I mean, honestly, like, and that's the thing too, is like I was trying to figure out like where's the longevity of the business? Sure. You know, like is it going to be this brick and mortar? Because once we give everyone a custom sign in town, are they going to need another one?
Yeah.
Are they going to, you know, like maybe for an event or something like that? Sure. But a lot of times it was the custom sign business was like a one and done.
Yeah.
So you could, you know, build a customer list of 100,000 people.
Yeah.
And you send out a text to be like, hey, like we got this new sign, whatever, you know, but they already got it. Yeah. So like they don't want it again. So then like your conversion's, you know, off.
Yeah.
So then that's where it's like we got to figure out something that like we can consistently supply, you know, keep quality, make it in America, you know, right here in Statesboro. And it's the 15-inch circle. You know, that's the best seller. And so we offer a few other shapes, but basically like once the mall was done, you know, Christmas hit, all of that, it was just like I had to just go home. Yeah. We had to take a break. We were doing, you know, crazy hours for
it was just the two of you still at this point.
No, I mean like so I guess like in the business, you know, like so for like percent stake, you know, like it was me and my brother.
Sure.
But we did have a few like, you know, guys that were helping for sure. We still got, you know, about 3 guys that, you know, help us. Right now we're kind of in the off season, but that's kind of what we're going into is just like right after the holidays. Like I knew that the first 3 months, you know, first quarter, that's going to be a slow one. Yeah. And then the second quarter, you know, we had to figure out like, all right, what are we going to sell for the holidays? And like, let's go ahead and start batching it out bulk style. And that's just been our model for everything. It's like, if we're going to make something, we're going to make a lot of them. Yeah. You know, like if we're going to make Easter bunnies, we're going to make 1,000 Easter bunnies. And, you know, then it falls on me to be like, we're going to sell all these, you know, like I'm going to go out and I'm going to sell all these Easter bunnies. Yeah. So that's been a tough thing, like going to different shapes, because like I feel like it has like slowed our scaling ability. But it's all for, you know, customer sake, because like our customers are wanting other shapes.
So at what point did you kind of like come back to the table? So I mean, because every business has risks. So I want to try to get to the point from where you are massively in debt. Your brother is still, you know, sleeping on the couch. Yeah. Right. And you guys are just working around the clock trying to make this thing happen. But obviously something's not right because you guys are losing money. Where's the turning point that you kind of like get locked and loaded and figure out like, this is what we're going to do next?
Yeah. I mean, so like, I guess that's a tough part to really like pinpoint it, because it was really like, it was like a, you know, upside down bell-shaped curve. Okay. You know, sure. So like we're kind of like we're on the right direction now too. So like that's the great part. But basically going from negative 20,000 to doing $250,000, it took figuring out like what process are we going to do, and then getting the right people. Sure. You know, to make sure that process actually happens. You know, keeping the quality. Like I'll always like open up boxes now just to check quality. Sure. Just because I didn't even see the wood from like when it got picked up off the stack to get cut to sand to box. So I just want to make sure that like, hey, like.
But so like, I mean, I'm still, you have like this custom sign store, right? Yeah. Like that's making hats, that's making all these different things, you know, and you're kind of like transitioning out and, well, not transitioning out, but like at what point does blanks become the thing?
Okay. So at the end of the summer, basically, because like we went all the way through. Like, I mean, I was about to put Burwood in my back pocket. Yeah. And
how close were you?
every day.
Yeah.
I mean, dude,
it's just like you didn't
still
know
to
what
this
you
day,
needed.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's just like, it's just that, I mean, if you own a business and you don't think about that every day, like,
Sure.
come on now. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you're just crazy then, because like you need to at least have that, because I think that's what kind of motivates me too.
Sure.
If I lose money on something, it motivates me to go make more.
Sure.
But basically what happened was I told my mom, I said, I'm going to go back to school.
Uh-huh.
And that was kind of my filler. I was just like,
I didn't have any other choice.
it's,
You're still in debt at this point.
yeah, biting the bullet. I mean, it's just like, I got another year left of school. Might as well get out of here, make my mom, someone proud.
Yeah.
Because that last thing didn't make anybody proud.
Sure.
And then the school year started. And so this is like August. And so that's when the season starts for selling these, circles, crafts, all that kind of stuff.
But did you have these circles already out? Was that a product line already?
No. So, I mean, like through all of everything, it was like about 3 months into starting Burwood. That's when we really started like selling a few just circles.
Yeah.
Just like very, very small sales, like a few $100, something like that. And then, we started an Etsy account. Like the Etsy account, like that year did like 25, 30 grand, just circles.
Yeah.
And that was during the time that we went down -20 in, like with a brick and mortar.
Yeah.
So it was just like.
But you knew the circles were a thing.
For sure. But like I knew that we had 5,000 square feet to test out everything. And that was just. It's my fault that we didn't profit off of it, because a lot of it I had to take back home.
Sure.
I had to bring it back into this shop, and it was just so much stuff, dude. I mean, we're still going through it.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, it was amazing that we were able to fill that space and kind of like prove the concept in such a short amount of time. It should have been a TV show.
Sure.
It felt like we were remodeling a whole house.
Sure.
But what happened was I started school, and that first 2 weeks of school, I was like, dude, I really don't like this, like
This ain't it.
I don't want to have to call my mom again, and be like, yo, mom, like I'm not, I think I'm gonna do something else, I think I'm gonna get my real estate license, because I can sell. Like let's just get on with, like why am I in a biology class if I'm a finance major? So. It just felt like it was slowing me up, in the time where I could be as flexible as possible. You can risk everything during this time, and that's what we've been doing. Even risking negative, money.
Sure.
To be like, do you even want to go more negative?
Sure.
Like you sure you want to turn the switch on again to open it back up? It's like, yeah, let's do it. Because what happened was 2 weeks into school, I needed money, and I was like, well, I'm not going to go work at the bar again, because I only get paid $50 a night.
Yeah.
And that's like, it's like $10 an hour.
Sure.
So I was like, I know a way to make some money. I'm going to sell circles.
Yeah. Because you knew that all along. The Etsy shop was making money from selling.
I knew that selling circles could make me money.
Why didn't you lean into that initially?
Because I did the math, and it was like, I knew how hard it was to, put out a quality circle, give, that one circle your full attention, because you can't just be like, oh yeah, that's quality. It's like, no, each circle you have to look at it, because like that's how you see the imperfections. That's how you sand it. That's how it all goes.
Sure.
At least for us here at Burwood. I knew how much work went into that, and the time, and the speed that the machine would cut at.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, we're gonna have to sand 200,000 circles.
Yeah.
To make our first $1 million in revenue.
Yeah.
And that's just revenue.
Sure.
Off selling $5 circles, which, I mean, I don't even know how many cardboard boxes that's going to be, to ship out.
Sure,
and shipping
sure.
costs. I mean, last year alone in shipping, we spent over $45,000.
Sure.
And that was just like, dude, what? I mean, that's a nice truck.
Yeah.
That's a brand new truck, like that on costs where I just wasn't aware of. But yeah, so
you flipped the switch back on. You're like,
flipped
all right.
it on, yeah. And I was like, hey, like you said, I didn't have any inventory though. So I didn't have like circles like stacked up or anything. I just knew that like, all right, I'm going to do a pre-sale. If it sells, I'll go get wood. I'll run it on the machine. Thankfully, the FAB Lab always has, the tools here.
Yep.
And it wasn't like, I had to go buy a CNC or anything like that.
Yeah.
and flipped the switch back on, man, and we did $2,000 in sales. I was like,
for like a week, 2 weeks,
I mean, like
couple
right,
days.
like right when I sent out the text. I mean, like one
Text to who? The Etsy people?
like all of the customers that we've
Collected over the
over the year.
So the demand was there.
Yeah,
They loved the product.
yeah. Problem was like I like gambling. I do. And
Yes.
this is where it gets a little spicy.
Yeah.
I gambled like half the money away.
Oh wow.
I didn't know what to do. I was like, well, now I'm in classes that I don't even want to be in.
Yeah.
Now I got to fulfill these basically 50 orders, and I don't barely have enough money to even get the inventory, like to get the material. And that's when it was like, but that's what I loved.
You like being backed up in a corner?
Please, it's like, I mean, dude, like give it to me,
Sure.
like, and I think that's just like, I don't condone it. I don't condone like, losing money or gambling your money away. Cause like for me, like I like the thrill of it, but it wasn't a sake of like, oh, this is going to make me millions, gambling. Like I'd never think that I'm going to like become rich off of, that form of spending money. So for me, it was like, now I gamble on my business.
Sure.
Right. So I use my business as that machine of gambling to where it's like, that is a gamble.
Sure.
Like you're not pressing a slot machine.
Sure.
But if you're going to go buy a $20,000 piece of machinery, that's a gamble.
Sure.
Yeah, that's a $20,000 gamble.
Sure.
So that's what happened. I gambled away half the money. And
why'd you stop? Why didn't you gamble all of it away?
Oh, no, I mean, I'm smart. Come on now, man. You got to know what it takes.
I'm smart.
Yeah,
okay. So you stopped.
Yeah.
And then what'd you do with the other half? Bought material?
Yeah, bought material, sanded all of them all by myself. I mean, like I had to because I couldn't afford to hire anyone.
Yeah, so you just did it all yourself.
Did it all myself. And
did you make any money off of that? Maybe?
Not until the secret was like the next week I was like, yeah, pre-order number 2. And then it was like another $2,000. And I was like, dude, back-to-back weeks of like doing multiple thousands.
Did you gamble that?
No.
Got smart.
That's where it was like, I mean, probably like maybe 100 or 200 of it. If we're being honest, I mean. And, because it was like, you know what? You deserve it, bud.
Yeah.
That's kind of like my personality is like I love taking risks.
Sure.
I love gambling. And that's kind of my motivation as well, and like I feel like it's good that I know it, but it's also a dangerous thing to know that because it's like I have to put myself in danger to feel some sort of type of, reward. So that's one thing I've kind of struggled with is just like taking it actually like last year we did $250,000.
Sure.
I don't have that in my bank account. I don't have any.
Well, I mean, you have costs in that sort of thing.
Yeah,
right?
But it's like the big idea, like, dude, tell me as a kid, man, I would dream of that day,
Sure.
And it's just like, now we're living in it, and like I'm also experiencing the realities, like taxes,
sure,
and, paying your employees well, you know, like all of that kind of stuff, like it's all tied into it.
It's good experience, right? So like,
absolutely,
the second week, another $2,000.
Yep.
What happens the third week?
That's when I was like, called my mom again. I was like,
what'd you say to your mom?
I was like, Mom, like,
I'm not feeling it. No, I don't want to go
yeah,
to school.
I was like, if we're gonna have one last shot, it's gonna be right now.
Sure.
Because we're going into the season, and like that was the problem.
You're still in debt.
Yeah,
Okay.
And that was the problem with the school semester. Was just like it started off on August, and that's literally when crafters start making stuff for Halloween. That's a huge one, and then people start making stuff for Christmas. Like, I mean, in November, even October. It's just like it's a very early thing because to be a supplier, like we don't sell things Christmas Day.
Yeah.
We sell them a month before any of the holidays, at least. But yeah, that's where it started really rolling, and I was just like, all right, well, do we go on Etsy? Because we've done like 25, 30 grand on Etsy up until this point. But the problem was the fees
Yeah.
and just like the competition.
Yeah.
You know,
There's a lot more people doing the same thing that you were doing.
they were, yeah. And like to really set ourselves aside, like I wanted to be professional in the sense of like, here's our website. And like, if I'm going to put any work into something, it's going to be the website instead of trying to make like a, you know, a half good Etsy, a half good, you know, eBay.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's so many platforms to sell on nowadays. It's like, you really need to just focus on one, and then you're honestly gambling, hoping that you picked the good one.
Sure.
I mean, that's how we got to today. I didn't like be like, oh, I know Shopify's the best, you know, platform to use.
Sure.
There's so many platforms to use. Some people ask like, you know, advice on that. It's like, just pick one, man.
What'd your mom say when you called her?
Oh, she always knows when I call her because like we don't talk on like a daily basis.
Okay. So she knows.
Yeah.
When she
like,
got that call,
yeah.
she's like, oh.
It's like that
Hunter's
with
up
all
to
my family.
something.
Yeah, I mean with all my family, it's like they know that like, you know, like understood love.
Sure.
Where it's like, hey, like I don't have to, you know, call you on the phone every single night and tell you that I love you for you to truly know that I love you.
Sure.
You know.
So you call her.
Yeah, and I told her I loved her, and I'm gonna drop out of school again, and we're gonna do this circle thing.
What did she say?
She's like, are you, like, it was just like really.
Was she mad?
Yeah, because we just threw like about like $3 or $4 grand into like classes.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
She was pissed.
worried.
Okay.
You know, but she wasn't gonna tell me. She wasn't gonna be like,
Man.
yeah, you know,
That's great. Having a mom like that.
You know, I mean, she wasn't gonna
phenomenal.
be like, to where it's like, she'll tell me when it's real,
Yeah.
She'll be really real with me.
Yeah.
Be like, you know, you messed up.
Yeah.
Like this is for, you know, or like, she won't ever give me, you know, like fake love.
Sure.
You know, like, you know, like if I show her a sign or like something, she's not gonna like give me that. Oh my God, that's the best thing I've ever seen. You know, like it's like she could be like, not bad. I mean, honestly, if you cut maybe like
it's real.
I don't know. I mean, it just might be the sizing. I don't know, Hunter. And it's just like, that's my mom. It's like, you know, she always wants to like I know that she like, you know, loves the work and everything that we've ever done, but it's like
always trying to push.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, she kicks ass in the corporate world.
Sure.
You know, so
you talk to her, tell her, and then she's like, "Are you sure about this?" And then you're like,
and at this point too, like, so we kind of like skip through. I mean, like Paul, he actually got offered a job running CNC machines, but also it was a mixture of running the CNCs to make custom cabinets, but also what he was doing before he even came to Statesboro of installing the cabinets.
Sure.
So at this point, he's moved down to Florida. He has a place down there doing really well. And it was a blessing and a curse, you know, to be here by myself, because it was just like, one, I'd be able to pay my parents back that much faster.
Sure.
Because we wouldn't have that much more cost.
Sure.
So like every dollar that Paul was making at his new job was almost saving Burwood that amount of money.
Sure.
You know, so like I don't see it in any sense that like he left me in the dust or anything like that, because it was like, I mean, we weren't even in a dusty place. We were in freaking space, man.
Yeah.
I mean, there was like anti-grav, like nobody's on the ground here.
Sure.
You know, like we weren't even sure what to do. So, I mean, we just knew that we were like really sorry to my parents, you know, and thankfully it was only, like I say, only $20,000, but
I mean, it's a considerable amount of money.
Yeah, and like it was all like like on a credit card too.
Sure.
So like a lot of that was honestly like just quick interest that built up as well.
Sure.
So in reality, I mean, I really don't know how much we really were down, you know.
But you guys were just looking at a sizable bill.
Yeah, and then so once we started actually, like I was like, all right, you know, let's turn the light switch back on. Let's get this business going. That's when I had to start figuring out everything, and I took a small business look at a lot of things. I tried to like take a step back, simplify it, figure out, all right, if we were just to ship a box, does it matter how many pieces we put in that box? Mm-hmm. Or like, is it, you know, like, does it make sense to ship one 18-inch circle or to ship 10 18-inch circles? Because for me, it's the same cost on shipping.
Yep.
So we could, you know, deliver that savings off to the, you know, buyer, instead of having one circle that you have to sell for $15 because you're including shipping. we sell 10 circles for $60, $70.
Yep.
And the shipping cost is the same just because that's how shipping goes nowadays.
Yeah.
So that was a big thing we did. We started packing stuff in pizza boxes. I thought that was revolutionary. I was like, dude, we need to figure out like a pizza box manufacturer because like we're onto something here.
Sure.
And the problem with the pizza box is it's not made for shipping.
No, it's not.
And I figured this out by shipping one pizza box. And then I thought it was a brilliant idea to just double box them.
Yeah.
Let's use 2 pizza boxes. Like,
try to
we're selling 15-inch circles. We'll put a 15-inch circle inside of a 16-inch box. And that 16-inch box inside of a
little larger one.
Yeah. Like literally inside the 18-inch box. And like the crazy thing was now it's like, yo, we're double boxing these things. And my box cost was still like, I think it was literally
super low.
It was at $1.
Yeah.
So cheaper than our boxes now we use, like U-line.
U-line, yeah.
But like they're corrugated, they're like, I think 275 pound
yeah.
test.
Yeah.
Like they're nice boxes. Like I wanted something when you feel it, like
feel the quality.
Yeah. You're just like, wow, we might even just keep the box.
Yeah.
This is a great box.
Yeah.
So it was worth it to switch to that.
So U-line charges how much for a box?
I think right now we pay like $2.70.
Whereas before you were double boxing and getting away with maybe $1.
Yeah.
But see, that's interesting to me because, you kind of like bootstrap that to get to the point where you could afford. Because obviously you had massive amounts of debt, from before.
Yeah. So I'm just a frugal guy at heart. Like, dude, you can check me out on YouTube. I don't know how to delete the videos, but I got extreme couponing videos on YouTube right now. And it's like, hey, I just had a haul from Kroger. Dude, when I tell you I've taken a grocery bill down from $1,200 all the way down to $50.
Love that.
Dude. And then, we donated, it was donated probably 90% of everything. Sure. Everyone could use some toothpaste and some deodorant, but that was for the most part. It was you gotta see those things. But I've always been trying to save myself money, save everyone around me money. And that kind of gone into Burwood as well. I seriously want to save people money.
Sure.
And I think we found ourselves even in a better place of saving small businesses money to make them more profitable.
Sure.
We also, we supply to a bunch of different people though, all ages. It's crazy what I've seen everyone use these things for, church groups all the way to, elderly homes, it's endless, honestly, with a blank canvas.
Yeah.
But as we kind of went into the season, starting off August was when that started ramping up, started going good. And then TikTok.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. In this next episode of the UKnowAdamTsang podcast, Hunter and I continue our conversation and take a deep dive into the huge potential TikTok has for generating buzz for growing businesses. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss it. See you on the flip side.